Kadosh, good evening. We're going to be continuing now with the Parashat Shavua. So in Parashat Shavua, we brought down, this is in Perek Memhei, Pasuk Vav, or Pasuk Zayin now. And we said, Vaydabru elav et kol divrei Yosef. So they went and they spoke to Yaakov Avinu. They told him all the speeches, all the entire thing of what Yosef spoke. It says over here like this, the Sechel Tov comes and he says, when they saw that Yaakov Avinu didn't believe him, which means that they saw that he didn't, what happened? He thought that they were lying. Until finally, Vayaret Agalot, he saw the Agalot Sheshalach Yosef Lasetoto. Then he said for sure, Yosef is the Moshel. Why? Because he also knew the rule. The rule was that nobody was able to take out Agalot from Mitzrayim without the permission of the king. So when he saw that the brothers came back with Agalot, right, with these chariots, with all the Agalot of the Agalot, he said, no, this is something weird. I mean, he's really Be'emet. Maybe Be'emet he's like that. Rashi says, Vaydabru elav et kol divrei Yosef. He gave them the siman. The last thing that they were learning was what? Eglarufa. As it says, Vayishlachehu. Why? Because Yaakov Avinu accompanied Yosef. It says, Vayishlachehu. Vayishlachehu is Lashon Leviyah. So he was accompanying him. So he told you, so Yosef tells him, go back home. He says, what? My son, you know what it's written about Leviyah? Leviyah, you have to accompany someone. So he says, so what? Do you really think that the city, the closest city, the Bedin, they're going to come and they're going to kill someone? But rather, no. It's because of the mitzvah of Leviyah. So what happened? They went and they said, Yosef samani Elokim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent him. When it says, Et kol divrei Yosef, do you think that he told them everything? Yeah? No. What didn't he tell them? What did Yosef tell them that obviously they didn't repeat? Ani Yosef, that was the first time. Ani Yosef, the second, Ani Yosef achichem, Hashem echartem oti. So those words, en bichlalam sheyagidu lo ma she'amar Hashem echartem oti mizrayim. He didn't tell them. They didn't come and they didn't tell Yaakov, their father, by the way, Yosef told us we sold him. They didn't say that. Ki Yaakov Avinu lo yada ze me'olam. He never knew about it. Aval chashav, this is Rabbeinu Bachiyai. The second I say that, then all of a sudden he picks up his head. I could say something. If it's a no name, we don't even pay attention. If I say Rabbeinu Bachiyai, no. What happened? Let me start again. Okay. Yeah. Rabbeinu Bachiyai comes and he says, he didn't tell them everything. Why? Yaakov Avinu never knew about the sale. Because he thought that Yosef got lost in a field. And the ones that found him, took him and they sold it to Mitzrayim. Meaning some people, they come and they never ask the question. And then you come and you ask the children, 1 second, what did Yaakov think? What did Yaakov think? Saying what? Afterwards, what was in his mind? What? Miraculously, he went down to Mitzrayim. So I just gave you the answer. He said he thought that he made a mistake in the field. And then somebody found him and they went and they sold him off. They're not going to say anything because they don't want to say the sin. More than that, they were afraid he was going to curse them, just like he did to Reuven and Shimon and Levi. At the end of his life, what happened? Right? At the end of his life, they all went and they started saying what happened. They went and they said he went and he started cursing. He cursed Shimon and Levi because of what they did, that they killed out Shechem, and he cursed Reuven for the thing. He would have cursed them all if they would have sold Yosef. Yeah, imagine what he would have done. He would have finished him off. Yeah, more than a Moroccan.
You say that on Monday, you say that they made a shvuah.
Exactly.
All the brothers, so that's why he couldn't reveal to his father.
No, but all the brothers together, they could reveal it. All of them are together. They could have revealed it now.
But he said to leave the house.
Yeah. Exactly. So he was part of the thing, but they could have done Hataran and Darim right away. It's everyone together. Remember, what's the difference between a Shavua al Dat Rabim and Shavua on a certain amount of people? Shavua al Dat Rabim means if I'm going to come and I'm going to make an oath, and that's on everybody, nobody could ever do Hatarat Nedarim. And the reason why is because I would have to ask every single person in the world, and it just doesn't exist. But if I do a Shavua on a certain amount of people, I could do Hatarat Nedarim. For example, let's say I'm going to come and I'm going to say, I'm going to make a Shavua on these 10 people that are here, right? We're 10 here, no? Yeah? We're 10. No, we're not 10. We are 10. We're 10. Yeah? That we're going to be right now minyan, right? And we're going to say on these, so then I would ask permission from every single one of you And when I ask every single one of you, that's it. I'm able to do it. I'm allowed to do it because I did it on everyone. So here they could have done the same thing. So he says, Gam Yosef b'mosro matnuto. Also Yosef with his musar and anava, lo igid laviv. He never told his father. Lachen no'emar, and therefore it's written, Vaytzavu el Yosef lemor. That's why they went and they commanded to Yosef saying, Avicha tziva lifnei moto lomar. Your father commanded us before his death saying, V'ilu yada Yaakov be'avon zeh. If Yaakov would have known this, היה ראוי להם שיחלו פני אביהם במותו לצוות את יוסף מפני שימחול להם. Yeah, he said he should have done it himself. וודאי יישא פניו ולא ימנה דברו, ולא יצטרכו לבדות דברים מלבם. Why did they have to make up a story? Think about it. The brothers come after the death of the father, and they say, your father commanded us saying, please forgive us. Aywa, you think if Yaakov knew about it, he would have left it for after his death? Yaakov would have made the peace in his lifetime. He would have brought everyone together and say, make up, kiss and make up, because if not, that's it. You understand? He's going to wait. Elama, Yaakov never knew about it. He thought that he got lost. He thought that he got lost. Which one? The opposite. As we're going to see now in a few minutes, right? When it says, Vatechi ruach Yaakov v'yam. Give me one more minute because that's going to be the Radak. We're going to explain in 1 second. So very, very good. I heard the question, and that's also not a question. The answer is very, very simple. What did they do? They came and they said, we found a coat full of blood. Does that, what? It was his coat. It was his coat. Does that mean that what I just told you now was not true? For sure it was true. Right? It could have been. No, it could be that at the end of the day, the dam may have not even been his. Right? What? You know. Why?
Because he didn't rip his clothes when they told him.
He did rip his clothes.
No, when they told him, then Yosef was devoured by an animal or something like that.
He was in sack over the time of the morning. What are you talking about? He was mourning for a long time. Nobody could push him out of the morning. Of course, he was the. Is there a Parashat?
I don't understand you. Pasuk Lamed Daled, the pasuk right afterwards. Vayakira vayomer, he recognized the clothing and he said, Ketonet beni. This is the ketonet of my son. Chayara chalatu, a wild animal devoured him. Tarof toraf Yosef. Vayikra Yaakov simlotav, he tore his clothing. Vayasim sak bemotnav, he placed sackcloth. Vayitabel al beno yamim rabim, and he started doing aveluk for his son for many, many days. They got up. Vayakumu chol banav v'chol banav v'nachamo. They all got up to console him. He didn't accept consolation. And he said, I'm going to go to Geinam. What type of consolation can I receive? And he was crying. The exact same pasuk, the next pasuk, he already tore his clothing. So obviously he knew. There's another question that everyone asks. Everyone asks that if we already know that there's a decree, right? If everyone already knows that there's a decree that a met is nishtakach mi'alev after 12 months, meaning that somebody that passes away, they forget about him after 12 months. So the fact that he didn't forget, that's the biggest proof that he's alive. So some people answer on that, right? And some people answer on that also was not a proof. Why? Because when he was mourning, he mourned for a different concept. He was mourning because Kiered el Beni She'olah, which means that he had a Kabbalah in his hand. His Kabbalah is that as long as none of his children die during his lifetime, he will get Gan Eden and he is 100% okay. The second that Yosef died, he thought that that's it. He lost everything.
So how did eventually story succeed with Yaakov money? To me, I don't understand.
Why not? You've got the clothing. The clothing is not kashrut to him. Which one? 100%. But how many times does it happen that a person gets stuck, right? Or a person is stuck in a forest and all of a sudden he has to take off his clothing. He goes into the river, they steal the clothing, they take it. All of a sudden now they come and they find blood in it. How many? What? Of course. The clothing afterwards are found. By the way, you should know the clothing is the easiest to come into and to touch. Do you know that there's a whole case? If you find clothing of a soldier, can you come now and say that the guy is dead for sure? The answer is no. Why not? Huh? The special thing. Yeah, but not the clothing. The clothing for sure not. Because the clothing in 2 seconds, you tell the clothing, you tell the soldier, take off your clothing. Boom, they put the old thing, they throw it in. Okay, now the guy's dead. Doesn't show nothing. Nothing. No body is nothing. You need DNA. DNA, yes, because DNA is a piece of the body. Clothing is nothing.
So it sits down that they sold him on the spot.
No, for him, he doesn't know that they sold him. Yeah, for him, he thought that the guy went, right? He was either stripped from the what's it called, from these guys, and he was sold as a slave. But he's gonna think that the brothers went and they did a whole setup and a whole thing. Never.
So that's contradicting
Never.
the
Why would he
story.
ever think?
So that's in a way contradicting to what he would.
By the way, you should know it was the father the one that said Chayara Achalatu.
Oh,
It was he was the one that did it. They didn't know. They come and they say, "Look, we found this clothing. Do you recognize it?" Hakerna. They didn't say anything. They didn't hint it at all. That was their father. That was the father. No, they just said Vayakira. They came and they said, "Do you recognize this clothing?" Remember, Be'akerna was midah keneged midah. Whatever Yehuda did, it was back to him. They did not say nothing, not one word. He was the one that invented the entire story. Right? They went and they brought the clothing, and then they waited for him to talk. What happened? What? He comes and he says, "This is what we found. Hakerna, recognize it if it's the ketonet of your son. Vayakira vayomer." So he recognized it and he said, "Ketonet beni chayara," but that's he himself. He was the one that invented that story. Now, obviously, I would also invent that. Not I, but somebody would also invent that story if that would happen to them, because obviously it makes sense. I'm saying, listen, they find blood, this, that. Obviously, they can't find the guy. Okay, so probably something happened. You understand? Nowadays, they wouldn't say chayara. They would probably say mechabel, or I don't know what took him. You understand? You know, whatever it is. Okay. Yeah, chayara chalatu. Oh no, but that was Yaakov himself. It wasn't them. They nothing. That's why, according to Rabbeinu Bachya, it's beautiful because it never came out. The entire story never came out until his death. He died, and still nobody never knew. What's on? Can he do Kaddish without the body?
They don't know 100% that he's dead.
It could be. It could be that they could do Kaddish. It could be.
Why not?
Yeah, you don't lose anything. You never lose. Kaddish, you will never lose. You understand? No, but I'm saying, but it doesn't matter. By the way, when this soldier was captured and they were never able to get back his bones, and then they went and they declared his death or whatever it is. The one recently in Gaza, the last war. Yeah. So I forgot the name that they were trying to get back the bones and all these things. Yeah. When they come, and they say, they never got the body. They still say the Kaddish. It's not the. Yeah, becheskat. It's a chazakah. Chazkat. Fine. Then it says here like this: "Vatechi ruach Yaakov aviem." So he revived himself. It says here, this is ruach nevuah that separated from him once Yosef left, because nevuah only comes when a person's happy, and here he was never happy, right? So then what happened? It was done. It says over here, right? So it says over here because basically when a person is going to be happy, once he hears the good news, all of a sudden it comes back, and now he's able to get the nevuah again. But the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer says, what happened exactly? It says very, very simple. Vatechi ruach Yaakov avihem. He says what? The ruach died. What happened now? All of a sudden it got revived. He says because of the cherem, nisalka ruach hakodesh from him. No, purposely. They went and they made the cherem. The brothers went, they made a cherem. Nobody could tell Yaakov Avinu what happened, including Hashem. Once they did that, what happened was that automatically took away the ruach hakodesh of Yaakov, because if not, he would have known through the nevuah. Which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to purposely take away the Ruach HaKodesh, because if not, he would have known automatically what happened. So it was purposely done. That's the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Okay? Now what happens? Yaakov comes and he says, Rav od Yosef ben Ichai, what? My son is still alive? Some people say that Yaakov said to his children, you're telling me od Yosef Chai v'chiu moshel. It's already enough that he's already alive. I don't care about that he's the ruler and on the Mitzrayim. That's already enough. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? It's already enough. As long as he's alive, I don't care where he is. You understand? I don't care what his position is. Right? However, the Yalkut Rivoni comes and he says, Keshegala Yosef, right? Keshegala Yosef pachad, right? Yaakov shema timeot berit. When he found out that Yosef was alive, he was afraid. And he said maybe he was mitameh his brit milah. So what happened? He said he was mitabel. So then what happened was that when the brothers came and they said, Od Yosef Chai, right, and that he's still with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he wasn't mitameh brit, Yaakov Avinu didn't believe him. So therefore he went immediately and he said in the next pasuk, El Chaver Enu Beterem Amut. I want to go and I want to see him before I die. Why do I want to see him? Yaakov Avinu was a baki, was an expert in akarat panim, in seeing the face, and he would be able to see in the face whether he sinned or not. And that's why immediately when he saw him and he saw that he didn't sin, he was happy. He was afraid that he was mitameh brit, that he went with the goyot, that he went to do averot. So because of that, right, what happened was is that he went and he said, I want to see him. The second that he went and he saw him in the face, because it's written in the face, right? You could see all the averot are written in the face. Yeah, but you have to have that chokhmah. I told you guys a famous story with Chaim Kanievsky, no?
It's so famous, we don't know.
So I'll tell it over to you again. Very, very famous. Yeah? It's very, very famous. There was a Rosh Yeshiva Echad, right? A big rabbi, that he came to Chaim Kanievsky and he was crying and crying. His son, all of a sudden, nothing in learning. He didn't have atzlacha in learning. He wasn't learning. He wasn't. And the father was heartbroken. Heartbroken. He took him to Chaim Kanievsky. Chaim Kanievsky comes and he tells him, yeah, he tells the father, go outside or whatever it is. And he tells the boy, promise me you're never going to eat meat and milk again. The boy became white, but white. And he said, he promised this and that. And ever since then, he became better. The Shamashim that they were there, they asked Chaim Kanievsky, how do you know? Yeah? How do you know? So he went and he said, very, very simple. He has a picture of a gedi on his forehead. It's written in the Torah, Lo tavashel gedi b'chalev imo. The gedi is a kid, is a young kid, not a child, the young goat. So the goat, since it's written gedi in the Torah, on his forehead, he had a gedi. So he already knew he was eating meat and milk. They went and they asked the child, right? It was a 14, 15-year-old, whatever, it was a bachur already. They asked him, what? So he said that he had a very, very big yitzhara for coffee. Now, coffee without milk, you need cafe latte, you need cappuccino. What are you going to have without milk? So what happened? He used to have meaty meals, and then all of a sudden he had to learn. How's he going to learn without his cappuccino, without his cafe? So what happened? Yeah, he wasn't able to have cafe shachor. He wasn't able to have cafe Turkey. No. Yeah. So what happened? He used to drink a milky thing afterwards. It wasn't even basar v'chalav together. Even the meat and then afterwards the milk, but he didn't wait for the proper amount of time, and it was written already in his forehead. So what happened? The Chaim Kanievsky saw it right on his forehead. It's written on the forehead. The forehead tells you everything. Yes. There was the Kalaver Rebbe. The Kalaver Rebbe, there are two Kalaver Rebbes, by the way. Yeah. There's two Kalaver Rebbe. Yeah. There's one without a beard and one with a beard. Right?
The one that died.
He passed away? Which one?
The one without the beard.
The one that without the beard passed away. So the one of them was in the Holocaust and they pulled out every single one of his hairs of a beard in the Holocaust. And that's why he didn't have a beard. Yeah. The other one.
The testicles. That's why he couldn't grow.
They didn't grow any hair. So what happened was though that I remember that the other Kalaver Rebbe, right? I remember he used to come, he used to take your hand and he used to look at your forehead and he used to tell you, by the way, you should know you're this, and you're this, and you're this, and you're this. Now, sometimes, right, people have to know that sometimes it's a bluff. Sometimes, right? Because I could also tell you, you're this, and you're this, and you're this, and you're this. And listen, maybe I would probably hit, I would hit for sure 50%, no? I would always hit. Yeah, you would probably hit 50%, yes. And the other 50%, I'll make you to believe that Be'emet that you're like that. You understand? That's fine. But I still remember until today I went and I went to one of my Rabbanim in Ner Yisrael, and they're all, you're saying, and they're all Litaim. So Litaim, they don't believe in all this, yeah? So one of them, they went and they said, fine, it could be that he knows how to tell you that. Very good. But that doesn't mean anything. That's Chokhmat HaPartzuf, which means there are books nowadays that you could buy with Chokhmat HaPartzuf. Chokhmat HaPartzuf means that it teaches you, right, how to read the face. Do you know, just like there's body language, right? That, some people, they come and they start reading it and they start knowing and all these things. So this is a Chokhmat HaPartzuf. They're able to actually read it and they can actually see it. Now, sometimes, obviously, it comes from Kodesh, sometimes not, but it does exist, meaning there does exist such things that they could come and they could read your face, right? Right, 100%. Parim from Parim. Or you have the rent again also. Yeah, that's very, very famous. He comes and he says like this. It says, the Rehem comes and he says, right, as follows. Why is it that he went and he said, I'm going to bring sacrifices, leloke aviv Yitzchak, but he said to his father and not to his grandfather. So explains over here that he comes and he says, Rashi explains, right, that basically what the truth though is that he should have first done it for Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu disseminated the name of Hashem much more than even Yitzchak. But the answer is that a person is obligated in his father's kavod more than his grandfather. So therefore, he had to attribute it to his father more than his grandfather. But remember, in Kibud Avim, if you remember, we gave a mishma, one of the first mishmas, if you remember. One of the first mishmas was to do with Kabod Chamiv, honoring your father-in-law, right? And honoring your grandfather. And there, we actually brought down that some shitot hold that you're only obligated in your father-in-law's Kabod because of your father. If the father would pass away, right, before the grandfather, some people say that you're not obligated anymore in the grandfather's kavod because it's only like an extension, right? It's an extension to it. So therefore, the Re'im comes and he says the same yesod here. He was more obligated in his father than the grandfather, and therefore he went and he said his father Yitzchak and not the other one. Okay, I'm skipping quickly about another concept. It says that Yaakov Avinu wants to go down to Mitzrayim and he wants to have his Yosef cover his eyes. Are you listening? It says like this. Right? This is brought down in the Me'am Loez, the Ibn Ezra. Yaakov Avinu wants to go down to Mitzrayim, so that way his father should be able to come to cover his eyes. Yosef yashit yado alenecha. I'm going to read. Right? He says Yosef is going to cover his eyes. Bemotcha, in his death. Yosef was going to cover his eyes when he passes away. Klomar, shiatzim enecha, to close his eyes. Keminhag ha'chayim yamametim. Like the minhag of the people that are alive to the people that pass away. Umikan katvu bezohar, and therefore the Zohar HaKadosh comes and it says, Shera'ui lebena bechor, that it is fitting for the eldest boy, the bechor, keshemet aviv, when the father passes away, shiasim yado alenav v'iskerem, that the child has to come and put his hands on his father's eyes and to close them. There's even a whole thing of how to do it. And you do it with the right hand and you put it, the two, right, like this, and then they close the eyes. Yeah, lefi shebeshat mitato nisharu enav petuchot mimarei hashechina shera beota shah. Because at the moment when the person passes away, sometimes their eyes stay open, either because they saw the shechina or because they saw the malach hamavet. Yeah, you remember I gave that shiur a few weeks ago. If you remember the malach hamavet, because it all depends if you have your eyes open during Amidah or not. You remember? If the person has their eyes open during the Amidah, he sees the malach hamavet. If he has his eyes closed during the Amidah, so then he has a shechina. Right? Because again, with his eyes closed. And so it says here, that he sees at that moment. As it says, so they said, but they do see it when he passes away. But then they get it. The second that a person passes away, that's when he gets this holiness. Because of that seeing, his eyes stay open. So it's fitting to close the eyes. So he doesn't see anything else afterwards. Since he already saw the Shekhinah. And also, it's also going to cause a nezek, a damage to anybody that's in front of them. So because of that, there was a minhag to close the eyes. That closing of the eyes comes from Yosef and Yaakov Avinu. But more than that, it says over here, from here, right, he was actually admitting that Rachel was the Yikar Bait. Because who was supposed to do it? Yosef, that he was a Bechor. Right? So therefore it comes in and says that this shows you that who is the real Bechor? Yosef HaTzadik. And he got the power of Bechor. He got the double. And some people say that he said, and therefore again he went and he said, he says, he went and he said, for sure, don't worry about it. Meaning that don't worry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, don't worry and think that he's going to die before Yosef. He will, that Yosef will die before him. He says, don't worry about it. Because usually, sometimes if a person opens up his mouth for the bad, it actually comes true. And he already said, what? I'm going to go to Geinam because of my son. So he says, no, don't worry about it. You're not going to go anywhere. Okay? Fine. Then there's a little bit more. I did prepare, but we'll have to do it another time. Right? I prepared today until the end of the parasha. But it's already late, so we continue another time.